Good morning.
Morning, April.
Steve, Mr. McKenzie, Chair McKenzie, I believe we have quorum.
I was just counting. It looks like Queet's here. Good morning, all. We're going to go ahead and get started with the February 2nd ITS committee meeting. We'll start with the call to order, and I'm just going to go ahead and go through the list. Please say yay or good morning or hi when I call your name. So, Susan Anderson.
Good morning.
Thank you. Mike, are you filling in for Tricia?
Hey, good morning. Yes, I am Trisha's proxy today.
Okay, thank you, Micah.
Thank you.
David Cates.
Yes, I'm here. Good morning.
Alyssa Dahl, and if I botched your name, if you could correct me.
No, actually, you said it perfectly. I'm here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Alan Galicia.
Good morning.
Albert Garcia.
Good morning.
Let's see. Okay, I'll just skip over. David Lucas.
Good morning. I'm here.
Eduardo Rodales.
Here.
Marshall Regal.
Here.
Okay. Mike Sutton.
Here.
And Simon, are you filling in for Bruce today?
I am. Hopefully for the next 5 minutes, you should be walking in.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. Christopher Wanamaker.
Here.
And Tessa Wessel.
Here.
John Willett.
Good morning, here present.
April Wire.
Morning.
And Marty Zeit.
Good morning.
Good morning. Okay. With that, are there any other members participating that I have not mentioned yet? Okay. We do have quorum, so this meeting of the MAG ITS committee is called to order. Please mute your microphone to eliminate any feedback. You will have the opportunity to use the raise your hand icon to be recognized, at which time you can unmute your microphone to talk. When you begin speaking, please state your name and your organization. Move on to item number 2, call to the audience. Members of the public were asked to submit written comments related to this meeting through the MAG website. The comments may be sent at any time leading up to the meeting, but must be received at least 1 hour before the posted start time. This is the opportunity for members of the public to comment on items that fall under MAG jurisdictions but are not on the agenda, or on the agenda for discussion and not for action. Omar, do we have any public comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the ITS committee. We received no comments on this item or any other item on the agenda.
Okay, thank you very much, Omar. With that, we'll move on to item 3, approval of the minutes. Please take a few moments to review the minutes from the January 5th meeting, if you have not already. Okay, does any committee member have any revisions? Please use the raise your hand icon for requests at this time. Okay, seeing none, could I have a motion to recommend approval of the meeting minutes of the January 5th to 2022 meeting? Please indicate so by selecting the raise your hand icon. Okay, we have a motion from Albert Garcia. And a second from Susan Anderson. With that, when I call your name, please indicate yea or nay. Susan Anderson, already seconded. Micah Henry,
Yay.
David Cates,
Yay.
Alyssa Dahl,
Yay.
Alan Galicia,
Yay.
and Albert already gave the motion. Is Bruce here yet? Or
Yes.
okay, Bruce Littleton.
Yay.
Okay, David Lucas,
Yay.
Eduardo Odalis,
Yay.
Marshall Regal,
Yay.
Mike Sutton,
Yay.
Christopher Wanamaker,
Yay.
Tessa Wessel, John Willett, April Wire,
Yay.
and Marty Zeig.
Yay.
It looks like Hugh just joined us. Hugh, we're just approving the meeting minutes from last meeting. If I could get a yay or nay from you.
Yay.
Wonderful. Okay, with a motion and a second, with members polled on the teleconference, the motion passes. With that, we'll move on to our program manager's report. The MAG TSMNO program manager, Jeff Jank, will now provide updates and a report to the committee. It's all yours, Jeff.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, ITS committee members. As usual, I will start my report with the federal updates. Our usual contributors, Ms. Tony Whitfield and Mr. Jeff King, are not available today, so I will take the liberty to provide a report. The first item on the federal update is the request for information in support of the development of US DOT research and development strategic plan. Although the comment deadline has just passed, I'd like to re-highlight and bring to your attention the importance of this effort. I think we will all be keeping an eye on the strategic plan when it is released. The next item is the National Transportation Safety Board has published a 4-part video series titled Preserving the Future of Connected Vehicle Technology. The videos contain interviews with experts from government, industries, and academia, and this is a good source of information for anyone who wishes to learn about the connected vehicle technology and its impact on the future of transportation. The next item is also related to the connected vehicle. The version 1.0 standards of the roadside unit, RSU in short, have been released. As you know, that RSU is the radio got deployed in the field to interact with the onboard radio to achieve the connectivity. So this work is a collaboration by the RSU working group supported by US DOT ITS Joint Program Office, SAE, AASHTO, NEMA, and ITE. Next slide, please. Next is an update on the FY 2022 TSOP projects. And I'm happy to report that 8 of the 10 projects are underway. The remaining 2 are getting really close to start. And as you know, the TSOP projects are relatively short-fused efforts. For this wave of the project, we're expecting to complete all the project by June 30th of this year. I would like to thank MAC project managers, Eric, Omar, and Mohammed in particular, and the on-call consultants, as well as the committee member who are involved with this effort. Next slide, please. The fiber upgrade task force reported that it is moving forward with the project that was approved by the ITS committee back in November of 2021. This fiber will be connecting the town of Crane Creek to Mesa, and then Mesa is providing a fiber path back to their TMC. There's a couple highlights of this project. This will replace the existing RCN wireless connections with the direct fiber, which will improve the reliability and also provide much higher capacity. This fiber is shared by the ITS camera and signal coordinations. It also supports the 911, the police, and the fire communications. The total cost is approximately $35K. There was some preparation work being done for this project that include the conduit verification, and there's a construction going on along the Ellsworth Road. And we're also finalizing the project needs before scheduling the actual fiber installation. Next slide, please. The next fiber upgrade task force meeting will be on February 15th from 1 to 3 p.m. The plan is to discuss the fiber procurement issue in light of the supply chain problem and the future fiber upgrade and maintenance projects. Next slide, please. I'm happy to report that MAC has officially kick-started the regional ITS inventory and performance reporting system study. This is the planning stage of the 2-step process to plan and implement a system to collect the relevant regional inventory data and report ITS project performance. Such a system would allow us to know where the gaps are, which support better planning and investment decisions. Next slide, please. This planning project is led by Kimmy Horn and Associates. The duration is about 8 months. The scope contains 3 tasks, including interview workshop with the peer agencies with similar systems, also identification of the data collection approach, and ultimately in task 3, we'll be developing the functional specification that we could use toward the next phase, which is the implementation of the system. Next slide, please. This item is to provide committee with a heads up of an upcoming working group to discuss the TIP funds in the MAC TISMO program. Specifically, this working group will address the $5.4 million leftover from the last TIP call for project. We will also address the $4 million static wayfinding science project identified in the SMNO plan. As you recall, the ITS committee discussed this static wayfinding sign project back in 2019 and decided that the static wayfinding signs or the proposed static wayfinding sign aren't needed for this region for the ICM operations. And this fund, and the committee decided that this fund will be repurposed for the year of 2023. So the expectation of this working group is that we will discuss and bring the recommendations to the future ITS committee for consideration and approval. Next slide, please. So this is just a friendly reminder that the deadline for requesting the annual TIP closeout fund is 5 p.m. on Friday, February 11. And the MAC TIP program supervisor, Mr. Patrick Stone, is the contact for this closeout fund. And this concludes my report. Thank you. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, I'm not, just double check. I'm not seeing any questions. So with that, thank you, Dr. Jank. Move on to item number 5. The MAG Traffic Signal Optimization Program, also known as TSOP, has continued to evolve to best serve MAG member agencies in re-optimizing signalized corridors. The latest improvements will take effect in FY 2023 to advance the use of Trendsync, as well as improve the overall workflow of the typical project scope of work. MAG staff will provide an update on the TSOP, a redesigned workflow. I'd like to once again invite Jeff Jank to provide an overview of this item.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. TSOP is a regionally well-received program because it makes real-world improvements in the operations. And this presentation provides an update on what is considered the most significant improvements to the TSOP program since its inception. I'd like to thank MAG staff Eric Nava for the leadership on this effort with assistance from Omar Abulaban. With that, I would like to invite Eric for the presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, ITS committee members and Jeff for allowing me to present on this particular agenda item. So the premise of this particular item is to just give an update on our latest developments on the FY 2023 TSOP as an overall program to improve project workflow in the coming years. And so typically in the midst of our yearly projects and looking back as well, we like to look at the projects to see if there's anything that we can improve in terms of application submittals or scopes of work or implementations, things of that sort. So we receive a lot of feedback from our consultants, as well as our member agencies for specific type of projects, as well as our MAG associate, Jim Decker, who's our boots on the ground that really gives us a lot of feedback in terms of how things are being implemented. So we're always trying to improve the program overall in trying to receive feedback. Now, some of the latest things that we've been doing in recent years is the introduction of Trendsync in our projects, mainly through the before and after evaluation. But that's not the entire purpose of that tool, but it was our way of introducing and getting a handle of the software and using iPads as the hardware in the field. And we believe now would be a good time to begin introducing that as a main tool in our workflow. So I'd like to go over some of the things that we see in the program that we'd like to improve on and our intentions for the next fiscal year. So here are the 5 main categories that we'd like to talk about today. Mostly it's having to do with Trendsync as a tool, as a software platform, and the use of hardware in the field, and how we'd like to incorporate that through our projects and being capable of using all these tools on all of our projects, as well as some revisions to the overall scope of work. Typically have a pretty decent template for our scope of work, but we're always looking to revise and to improve the overall workflow of those projects that serve our member agencies, because the entire purpose of this program is to better improve our flow of traffic through our member agencies corridor. So primarily, it's the agencies that really need these projects to work. So we'd like to improve on the scope of work and fine tuning it, as well as what we'll call for now our TSOP light type of projects. And I'll go into the depth of that, as well as the revision of applications that sort of reflect all these pieces that will be talked about in the coming slides. And then lastly, I'll have Omar speak on the training opportunities that we have coming up in the use of Trendsync, Synchro, and the overall workflow of our TSOP for the upcoming years. So as previously mentioned, improving the program itself, we're always looking to try and improve the program that best serves our member agencies. So getting the most out of the actual implementation, doing the turning movement counts, doing all the data collection before and after evaluations are good. But in the end, ultimately, it comes down to the member agencies having an implemented project that best improves the overall flow of traffic on their corridors. So we're always trying to get the best out of that, and that's why we're always trying to improve the program. And thereby, we're always trying to make the most of our project team, and that includes Jim Decker on the field, our member agencies, and as well as our consultants that best serve them as well. So we're all working together as a good project team. Now, lastly is also the improvement of the program is our use of our tools that we have made available to us. We do have 4 licenses that MAG has acquired for Trendsync, and we're looking into purchasing more to improve the overall program for all of our traffic signal projects, as well as full access to NREX. Now, typically we have our before and after evaluations that would require the use of NREX, but we're looking to open that up for all of our consultants in each of the projects. So first we'll talk about Trendsync. The use of Trendsync, we first introduced it in FY20. We had one of our consultants, Kittleson, develop a methodology as well as a guidebook on how to the use of tool specifically for performance evaluations of our corridors when we have a TSOP project. Now, it has worked out fairly well, and we're able to do comparisons of Trendsync and NREX through the performance methodology, and it essentially combines the data and is able to calculate benefits to the improvements of the overall flow of the corridor and improving travel times. And that's the main performance measure, is the travel time. But in FY23, what we're looking to do is transitioning that tool of Trendsync into its full purpose, which is really for diagnostic purposes and performance adjustments of the corridor in a corridor that is coordinated, or in our instance, what we'll be doing is using the Trendsync tool as our sort of fine tuning of any implementation. So when we go out there and we ask the consultants in coordination with the member agencies and Jim Decker is to make sure that the proposed signal timing adjustments, the timing plans, are running as intended. And if there's any necessary adjustments, we want to use Trendsync as that tool that will help us determine, because it is a real-time trajectory tracker using GPS and a space-time diagram, which has the imported synchro file, or the proposed signal timings. So we'll be able to follow in real time using the tool if the intended signal timing plans are working as expected. So that will be incorporated in all of the projects. Now, the expanded use of such tool is including in all of those timing projects. So it'll be part of that implementation portion of the scope of work for the consultants, is using it for the adjustments, for diagnostics, to making sure that the corridors are working as intended. Now, as I previously mentioned, MAG is looking into purchasing additional licenses and devices to support this program overall, as well as we'll be providing training, and Omar will go into detail on that particular portion as well. Now, in terms of the scope of work, now that we know that the Trendsync tool will be used, we need to make some adjustments to the scope of work for our consultants who have been great partners in giving us feedback and receiving feedback. And a lot of this is really trying to best serve them as they provide a service for us, but ultimately, again, always trying to serve the member agencies again in their projects. So one thing that we've heard is the revision or crash history review. We've spoken with our safety group here at MAG that really, they are the experts in the safety, and we all believe that safety is a large concern and priority on any of these type of projects. And having it incorporated, and I believe it was in 2017, I believe we started incorporating crash history review in the TSOPs in the projects. Now, the way we get previously given that data was basically through a raw file of all the intersections of that data. And it can be challenging for consultants to be able to gather all the data, and it's spent resources that maybe we can do on the MAG side. There's other tools and capabilities that we have on MAG side and that we've spoken with the safety team that will help improve the use of crash data as a historical review. Basically, it's a quantitative analysis of the crash data. So the crash data will be pre-made essentially into the primary tables that we look at for the analysis of crash data. And so it'll be used in advance of field reviews. We are looking to simplify the final reporting. Sometimes the reports will begin to accumulate in size, and we're looking to reduce that and really get down to the fundamental pieces that are required in terms of looking at a final report or the tech memo. So looking into shorter to the summaries, the actual implementation, what was actually done, the calculations, if we're looking at offsets or clearance intervals, and the calculations and measurements that were required of that. And then final outputs such as synchro files, crash history review, turning movement counts, all that stuff will be put into appendices. So we're working to simplify that for the consultant. But we will be also incorporating performance reporting. So based on the previous works that we've done with our existing methodology, we're using INRIX as that reporting, one of the reporting mechanisms that is available across the region through the ADOT contracts. So we've spoken with ADOT in terms of how we can get this done for the consultants. So we'll be looking to incorporate that performance reporting from INRIX exclusively for the performance reporting on particular projects. So that will be built into each project by the consultant performing that project. And templates will be provided for that. We're also looking into enhancing the implementation of that and the fine tuning of that. We want to make sure that the implementation is not only just making sure that the consultant plugged in the correct timing plans, but also that they work as intended. So we're looking in terms of, again, the use of Trendsync as well as additional field time that will best serve that. So looking up to as far as 2 days of implementation. So if we want to make sure that things are working well on one day as well as working on the previous day, or if you need that extended time from the consultant to make those adjustments and making sure that the corridor is working well, we want to build that into the scope of work. And then as well as agency commitment. And that's not only just in terms of our member agencies, but as well as MAG staff, and exclusively, or I should say explicitly mentioning what MAG will be in charge of, such as the crash history review data, but as well as what member agencies are asked to commit in terms of the full implementation of the project and time needed for that. So we're just looking for that staff assignment to explicitly mention that. So one of the main things that we want to, is one of the larger changes for us in terms of the next program, implementation of the programs, what we're as of right now calling TSOP Lite. And basically it's the exclusive use of Trendsync as the tool for TSOPs, so, or for TSOP projects. So the use of Trendsync, again, is used for real-time diagnostics and evaluation of an existing timing plan. So that could be that maybe some member agencies have corridors that don't necessarily need a full-blown, what we'll call a full-blown TSOP, which is needing crash history review and turning movement counts and additional calculations for clearance intervals and measurements, all these things. Really, it's just a fine tuning or an evaluation and making adjustments to things that are more common in terms of a corridor that falls out of coordination. We're not looking to making whole new timing plans. It's just making adjustments to existing timing plans. So that is really the intended use of Trendsync and things that we can do that will just help fine tune existing corridors. So projects that may be suitable for this type of application are projects that, or corridors from member agencies that have coordination or have been in coordination, but maybe fall out of sync for some particular reason. And you want a project that will help the agency to determine what are those changes that need to be made to bring it back up into coordination. So we're looking at projects probably maybe within the last 5 years. Again, no turning movements in this particular case. So it's a lighter version of a full-blown TSOP. We're really looking to use this particular effort as sort of a programmatic change or replacement of our performance evaluation project that we typically do. So we'd like to assign a consultant that will maybe run three to four corridors as one single project. So a TS 2301 or whatever ID we give it, but that consultant will go out and run 3 to 4 different corridors using the Trendsync tool. So this will be maybe a quick turnaround of 1 to 2, 3 weeks, as opposed to doing it over an entire few months. And again, it's used primarily as a diagnostic and evaluation tool. And so we'll be building that into the projects or to a particular project and receiving feedback through the applications from member agencies. So that brings us to, now that we've seen the scope of work and some of the adjustments and changes to the project, is we want to reflect those things in the application itself. So in a revision of the application, we're looking at the different project types. Typically we have our full-blown project as well as a data collection. So that's exclusively just collecting turning movement counts. We don't see a need as of right now that we need to remove that, because some agencies are using that and doing the timing themselves for their agency. But we'll be including that TSOP Lite type of project. So we're revising some of the questions that are in the existing application, things that are maybe more relevant. So we will be removing some of those questions that maybe aren't necessarily, the data itself is not being used for anything, or is maybe a little too, it's just not necessary to the projects, but again, it's more relevant to the project team. And we'll be looking at how we can acquire or make sure that we ensure that the projects that are being applied for are suitable for a TSOP. So field requirements such as communication to the signals and making sure that, or at least that we have a means of keeping the clocks in sync. So these are the type of requirements that we'll be looking into and, explicitly mentioning in the application. Also looking at the agency commitment through the implementation and adjustments as previously mentioned in the scope of work. We want to explicitly mention in terms of the agency commitment on the application side. The last thing, again, is an extensive application review. So what we previously did, what we previously did in last go around is we did spend more time, MAG staff, so that included myself and Omar, and I believe Mohammed helped us in reviewing the applications a little bit more closely to make sure that all signals are included in the project. We'll be looking at this as well as through the lens of a full-blown project, or maybe a project that may be more suitable for a TSOP Lite type of project. So, and again, it all comes down to us using Trendsync as that tool and seeing what is the best use of that tool that best serves our member agencies, and again, overall serves the best for the program for our member agencies. So I'd like to invite Omar to speak to this on the training opportunities that we have coming up. And I'd like to say thank you to Omar. He's been very helpful in helping improve the program as well. So thank you to Omar for helping us out on a lot of this effort.
Thank you, Eric. Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the ITS committee. So in the last slides, Eric talked about the new TSOP workflow and how we plan on expanding the use of Trendsync in these projects, as well as the TSOP Lite, which is very exciting. So this expansion will also require consultants to know how to use Trendsync overall, and also for our specific uses, such as the fine-tuning after the implementation of a regular TSOP project. So the full course objectives are to, one, retrain consultants on the MAG evaluation methodology, but this time with an emphasis on using the INRIX platform for evaluation, and also to familiarize with the new signal timing workflow and the Trendsync software. So learning how to fully develop signal timing plans using Trendsync, and this is necessary for working on all the TSOP Lite projects. And to finish that would be learning how to implement and fine-tune set timings. So this course will be available to all partner agencies and all TSOP on-call consultants. And the plan is to do it all fully virtual until further notice. Next slide, please. So this is going to be the course tentative agenda, starting with the course overview, intro to the hardware and software, as in how to use the Trendsync desktop and the tablet together, workflow of the signal timing process, how to build a signal network in Trendsync and how to import the timings or create new timings. Also guide the consultants on how to do the field observations and timing verifications, how to optimize the timing plans using Trendsync D, so that's the desktop version, and then implementation and fine-tuning. And this one is going to be going to the field and conducting the floating car travel runs using the GPS or the Trendsync device in sync with the time-space diagram on the tablet. So this one is marked with a star since it would only be available if the training was partly in person. So that's still more to come on that, more to be decided. Then lastly would be training on both INRIX and Trendsync in performance evaluation and reporting. Next slide, please. The next set of trainings is to be provided is the synchro training, which many of you are familiar with. We've received great feedback regarding the training from last year and the years before that one. And the training this year is meant to be similar, to kind of serve as a refresher, but also train any new agency staff and cover more in-depth training. So the objectives for this course or this training is to, one, achieve an overall good understanding of signal timing and coordination principles, build, optimize, and analyze a signal network with Synchro, then simulate those results with SimTraffic. And very importantly, from the agency side is also to learn how to evaluate and review the timing plans provided by consultants. So this training will be available to all partner agencies, and it's planned to be fully virtual, 3-day workshop until further notice. Next slide, please. So this is some of the topics that will be covered in the training. Starting with the beginner side, you would learn all the basic elements on how to use the software, set up your network, and produce reports. And then it would be followed by the advanced training where you would learn how to fully optimize corridors and networks, how to simulate and animate those results using SimTraffic, and how to fully review and improve timing plans. Next slide, please. So this is where you can sign up for the training yourself or add other staff from your agency. So please feel free to take a screenshot of this link to visit later, or you can always go to the committee's website where you can see today's presentation. The sooner, the better we can get on these. We're planning to have these trainings sometime in March and April, as Eric will touch on in the next slide. But with that, I'll turn it over to Eric.
Thank you, Omar. So I believe this is my last slide. Primarily, in terms of schedule of events that we'll be looking at for all this work that will be coming up is our whole application process will be coming in March and April. So that will have the revised application based on what I previously presented. As Omar mentioned, the training opportunities will also be coming up in March and April. So we're working on all basically getting all of our consultants things that we need to gather for the training and those training opportunities. The MAG committee approval process of all of our projects that we will be selecting will run through the months of May through August or so. Really, the expectation here is that we'll, based on the FY23 projects that we have proposed, should be able to start in the fall or late summer of 2022, but that's our new fiscal year in 2023. So really, it's we've been working to get this accomplished, and hopefully that we can better serve all of our member agencies on these projects and full use of what we've invested using Trendsync. So we look forward to that and getting the next round of projects going. So with that, I believe that concludes my slides. So if there are any questions, I believe we'd be happy to answer those.
Oh, I'm not seeing any hands. So with that, thank you, Eric and Omar, for the presentation. And we look forward to those opportunities coming up. Hope people participate and take advantage of the things that are offered.
Thank you.
Okay. With that, we're going to move on to item number 7. There are various traffic volume data collection techniques that have been proposed and used by many local, regional, and state agencies. Still, region-wide traffic volume data collection is a challenge to undertake. The Pima Association of Governments has taken an approach to estimate traffic volumes, both segment and turning movement count estimations based on existing traffic sensors throughout the PAG region. Today, we'll hear a presentation from PAG and the University of Arizona regarding their efforts. I'd like to invite Jeff Jink to provide an overview on this item. Jeff.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The project described in this presentation is closely in line with the objectives set forth by the MAC SMNO plan. As committee recall, the MAC phase 1 of the SMNO plan investment plan required the procured traffic detection to be capable of collecting the turning movement counts. And I think this project in the featured presentation shed lights on what it takes to collect an estimate and archive these valuable count data using the existing ITS infrastructures at the regional scale. So I'd like to thank Dr. Inhu Su and of Pima Association of Governments and Dr. Xiaofeng Li of the University of Arizona for agreeing to share their experience with us. Without further ado, I'd like to invite Dr. Inhu Su to the podium. Thank you.
Okay, good morning, and thank you, Jeff, and good morning, Mr. Chair, and the MEC ITS committee members, and thank you so much for this opportunity. And so here's the first presentation slide, and so just my name is Hensu No, and the modeling manager at PAC and the Pima Association of Governments. Today, just Dr. Xiaofeng Li, and I will talk about our recent completed projects and regarding regional traffic count collection and to support the PAC's traffic count program. Next. And here's the team organization and the list of PAC and university team for this project. And we'd also like to just thank our jurisdictional partners for extensive support in data collection and their feedbacks and for this project. Next. And today's agenda, first, I'd like to talk about some intro, including PAC's initiatives and the purpose of this project. And Dr. Lee will discuss about the sensor inventory and the regional traffic volume estimation using event-based data and develop the machine learning algorithm. Then just I will come back on the regional application portion and discussion section. Next. And the first introduction, the PAC's initiatives, and next. And the PAC and RTA have been trying to just improve our regional transportation system, especially as an MPO, and the PAC is putting major planning efforts such as a TIP, RMAP, which is a short and long range transportation planning, as well as just following just the federal requirements. And next, and next. Especially for HPMS, we are required to collect the traffic counts, and for TDM maintenance, we also use those collected just the traffic count data and to validate our just the travel demand model, and performance measures either developed by and through just the PAC models or sourced from local data, which are the federally mandated. And especially just the traffic count data is not only good resource to understand the regional traffic system, but also is frequently used by our jurisdictional partners for actual roadway project. Next and next. And next, especially to improve our traffic and congestion and maintain the current traffic operation system, jurisdictional partners to use numerous traffic monitoring system. Next, including video cameras and loop detectors and the plus crowdsourced data. And next, which is quite popular and is to get access and review the current traffic condition easily. Then just next. And we realized that these data are really valuable to improve and support PAC's regional data and the collection and improve PAC's modeling, as well as to initiate the TISMO ITS planning effort. Next. And next slide, please. And then just for this project, we are trying to just get some answers through the questions in the year. What kind of regional traffic data is available, and where are those sources of data, and how are the data interrelated, how to integrate the data, and how to maintain the quality of data. For those questions, and next. Today, I will just highlight in the major development of this project in developing just the region-wide traffic volume data, and the partial outcomes of the project are included in today's presentation. Next slide, please. From here, and I'm handing over to the presentation to Dr. Lee, and we'll be back on the regional application and discussion portion.
Okay, thank you, Dr. No. So, yeah, I'm going to share some results in our project. So we first conducted a sensor inventory in the PAC region to know what kind of sensors are available in the PAC region. So next page, thank you. We collected the sensor information from 6 stakeholders in the PAC region, and shown in the left plot. So we found the Pima County DOT is using mild vision sensors only, very consistent. And in the town of Sabarita, only one intersection is using Grand Smart, and the rest of the intersections are using loop detectors. And the other 4 stakeholders are using a variety of sensors. So all sensor information are summarized in a Google map and shown in the right map. So you can click the link to take a look at the details. Next page, thank you. So according to the results of this sensor inventory, So we found the multiple sensors are used in the PEG region. And we summarize the information by the sensor brand and stakeholders. And the three major types of sensors are using loop detectors, video-based sensors, and radar-based sensors. And we counted the number of sensors, and we found the most popular sensor used in the PEG region is the video-based sensors, like autoscope and mild vision. So in addition, we also found some intersections actually are configured with two different types of sensors and one intersection. So next page, please. And we consider the data availability in the PEG region. So in this project, we only use the two major data sources. One is event-based data collected by the MaxView system. And the other data source is the video-based volume data collected by mild vision sensors. So these two maps show the location of these two data sources. Next page, thank you. And according to the sensor inventory, we found that most of the intersections are not configured with volume data collection module, which means that those sensors cannot provide volume data directly. And however, we found the event-based data are generated at most synlight intersections by existing sensors and devices without purchase and installing new sensors. So this available and existing event-based data is then utilized to estimate regional-wide traffic volume data, including turning movement count and segment volume. So which can save a lot of money and time in data collection, volume data collection. Next page, please. So the event-based data is collected by the ATMS. So City Tucson is using MaxView system as shown in this plot. So the data, the event-based data includes a lot of events collected from signal devices like detection detectors, pedestrian push buttons, and controllers. So all the events are saved into a database in the City Tucson. The event-based data is very big. The new event-based data can overwrite the older event-based data every 4 weeks in the City Tucson. So in order to back up this bigger event-based data, UA team developed a program to back up the event-based data from City Tucson server every 4 weeks to UA database server. So now we already have 4 to 5 years of event-based data. Next page, please. So the event-based data collection process is different from the video-based volume data. You probably are familiar with the video-based volume data. So as shown in the screenshot, so there are some lane-by-lane virtual loop detectors, which can provide volume data directly. And the volume data can transfer the saved to memory card or cloud server, depending on the sensor brand. Event-based data not only collected the events from detections, can also collect the data from signal heads and push button controllers. So those data can be saved into database server, depending on the communication issue between controllers and the master server. Next page, thanks. So here are some example events. So there are 3 major important events we used in our estimation model. The phase events, for example, can indicate the green time on, green time off, and also detection events, which is the detector on and the detector off. And these two events can be used to indicate traffic arrival. And also we use the communication events. If the communication quality is not reliable, will cause data missing. So we use communication events to indicate the data quality. So that's the three major events used in the our proposed model. Next page, thank you. The volume data, the traffic volume and signalized intersection is affected by multiple factors. So these factors can interact with each other, having either linear or nonlinear relationship with the traffic volume. So a machine learning based method, MLP, multi-layer perceptron neural network model is utilized to estimate the turning movement count. And the right plot shows the structure of the proposed MLP model. So we first calculated some variables using event-based data, such as the occupancy time, green duration, and the detector triggered count. And in addition to the event-based features, we also consider the intersection layout, like the number of lanes, and also the surrounding building environment, like the number of employees, as model input. For model output, there are three outputs: left turn volume, right turn volume, and through volume. Next page, thanks. So we then use the ground truth turning movement count data collected by PAG from 84 signalized intersection to calibrate and evaluate the proposed MLP model. So the evaluation results are as shown in these three box plots using different measures: RMSE, R squared, percentage RMSE. We found the median percentage RMSE for through volume is quite reasonable and high, which is 17%. But the percentage RMSE for left turn volume and right turn volume is relatively higher. So one possible reason is left turn and right turn movements have a lower volume. If we take a look at the RMSE, the median RMSE for left turn and the right turn movement is 15 and 16 vehicles per 15 minutes. Next page, please. So in addition to event-based data, we also have another data source available in the PAG region, which is in-rig speed data provided by ADAT. So in-rig speed data can be used to indicate traffic condition. So we tried to include the in-rig speed data in our proposed MLP model to take a look at if the in-rig speed can improve our model performance or not. So these two tables show the validation results with and without in-rig speed data. We found there is no significant difference. So we decided to not include the in-rig speed data in our model. Next page. So in order to further validate the proposed MLP model accuracy, 50 sample locations are selected to collect more ground truth turning movement count data by PAG in 2020. So the volume data, ground truth volume data covers both peak hours and off-peak hours. This map, the right map, shows the location of this 50 location intersection. Next page, please. We first use the event-based data to estimate 15 minutes turning movement count and those intersections. And here is the overall comparison between estimation and the ground truth turning movement count. So the R square is high, is 0.885, and the RMSE is 34 vehicles per 50 minutes. The error is reasonable. Next page, please. Here is the evaluation results by intersection, and we found that the proposed model has high and reasonable performance, and most is similar intersections. But we found that still few intersections have low performance. And we take a look at the intersection, and we found, okay, these intersections are on Broadway Boulevard in Tucson, which is under construction. So the traffic patterns have changed significantly due to this construction. So our proposed model cannot handle this situation once the traffic patterns significantly changed. Next page, please. In addition to turning movement count data, segment volume data is also important for most traffic studies. However, there are few locations configured with mid-block sensors to collect the segment volume. And we found that the segment volume is highly correlated with TM's turning movement count data and upstream and downstream intersections. Most of the volume are from upstream intersection and go to downstream intersection. And since we have the turning movement count estimated by event-based data or collected by night vision sensors, so the TMC data and the intersections are utilized to estimate the second volume. So the method is proposed, is as shown in this page. Next page, please. So in order to validate the segment volume estimation method, we selected 10 segments. So based on the availability of ground truth segment volume data. So this map shows the 10 study segments. Next page, please. Here are the comparison between the estimated segment volume and ground truth segment volume. So we found that the most locations have high and reasonable performance. The R square is above 0.7. And a few locations have low performance. The R squared is like 0.4 or 0.2. So we take a look at the data in and which is likely because the inaccurate estimated TMC and either upstream or downstream intersection. So this segment volume estimation accuracy is highly related with the accuracy, the TMC accuracy and upstream and downstream intersections. So that's the two methods we proposed for turning movement count data estimation and the segment volume data estimation. So I will transfer to Dr. No. He will show some applications of using this regional-wide volume data. Thank you.
And next slide, please. And for the regional application, and finally, with the developed model and the procedure, we finally just the estimated just turning movement counts for the 369 the TMC locations, and using just the max view data and the 263 intersections with the developed and MLP machine learning algorithm. And then just additionally, just the my vision data, the Pima County region, we have and more than just 100 intersections with the my vision system. So we collected just the 106 in the intersections through just the my vision API. So on the right side, just the map shows that estimated total, the average TMC in the counts and the during peak hours for September 2020. And just here's the sample outputs of the application in the next. segment locations, estimated in the same in the September 2020, estimated total average segment volumes and during peak hours, and they're showing on your right side. Then just a sample outputs in the picture in the Excel spreadsheet. Okay, then next. So the model developed and the procedure developed, but this model is not just 100% just accurate and as well as just the clear. And so we realized that there are some portions in the left, and so I'd like to discuss about that. Especially just the estimated TMC and the segment outputs are good, and but as a supplemental data, but we need to just some improvement. So it's an additional effort to estimate just the segment counts and using consecutive and the tiny movement counts, and those are very highly correlated to each other. But we found some issues based on what just Dr. Lee mentioned, and some accuracy issue, the tiny movement count, handed over to that segment count estimation, as well as we found some just issues, and if there's any kind of just heavier the access in the activities, and that should be just addressed and some through the adjustment. And also we need to calibrate just the daytime TMC data, and even though we collect it in just the daytime off-peak period, and but the main hour just calibrated in the portion was targeted for those in the peak period. So we need to just improve and or just thinking of just separating the portion and the estimation in using just the multi-layer perception neural network, and for the daytime specific. And we also would like to also just test in some different just machine learning algorithms and for those collected data, because of this is so far just the best in the multi-perception, just the neural network model is the best, but there are some multiple just additional options that we haven't tested so far. So we'd like to just test and to improve just the quality of the outputs. Then finally, just applying they developed the models and the procedure to improve the pack traffic count program. So now we are in the stage of just in-house just testing, including those and the data collection through just API, and then just weekly update and getting the MaxView data from City of Tucson. And so hoping to just update and measure just a portion in MaxView. But the first stage in we have conducted MyVision this conversion and to support PAC's traffic count program. And those just the MyVision and the counts data in for 2021. And roughly around 38,000 just the data tables actually now been at the PAC MS2 and the web page. So that's the partial just the outcomes in current stage, and also just hoping to improve just further for this and in the MaxView using just MaxView data. And thank you. And next. And if you have any questions, and we are happy to answer. Thank you.
Like Jeff has a question.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Nall and Dr. Lee. I mean, this is a very interesting project, and thanks for the presentations. So not long ago, MaxDOT conducted a Aztec RAS future needs study, and one of the recommendations for future consideration is to look into the ATS decoding the count information from the ATSPM data, assuming that the ATSPM in near future is going to be deployed everywhere in all the controllers. So I have a few questions for clarifications that I know the subject intersection for estimation are those that deployed that has the ATSPM data. So my understanding is the ATSPM, it report events, the phase on, phase off, and the loop, particular loop, actuation on and actuation off. And I think that's where you decode those informations. My question is, those locations, are those locations the detect in terms of the detector, and it, regardless of the type, whether it's video or something, do you have the virtual loop defined in every lane and approaches? If you do, wouldn't you be getting relatively accurate count data already? And what's the purpose for the estimation?
Dr. Lee, would you like to answer? Or
yeah, sure.
Okay.
I can answer this question. Very good question. So a lot of people ask me this question: if you have the virtual loop for the ATS-PM, so why do you need to estimate the volume, right? So ATS-PM, if you ATS-PM can provide the TMC. If you go to the UDAT, the website, ATS-PM, they can provide the TMC. That's correct. One thing is they have the one requirement is you need the lane by lane detectors. That's the one requirement. But for most intersection, so they only have one detector for multiple lanes. You don't know how many. So because for the actuated signal control, you don't need to know how many vehicles are coming. The only thing the controller needs to know is if vehicle coming or not. They don't need to know the exact number of vehicles. But for the ATS-PM, they need the lane by lane detector configuration. So that's the one thing. So if you don't have the lane by lane detectors, you cannot get the TMC. But we work with PAC to develop this method. Even though you don't have the lane by lane detector configuration, you can use your existing data and existing detector configuration to get the TMC data.
So if it's correct to say that for those ATS-PM intersections, you typically only have partial detectors coverage. And so the estimation kind of make up for those missing approaches so that we could figure out the full turning movements of all.
Right.
Okay, that's a great, I think that is a universal challenge, is that to be able to fully leverage ATS-PM for full turning moment count, you literally need to draw everywhere.
A lot,
right?
A lot of
Or if it's a physical detector, you need a loop, cut loop everywhere. So, so that's a great input. Well, thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions?
Chair McKenzie, I have a question. This is Eric from Ag.
Sure.
A couple questions is, you mentioned that that there was, I think it was your turning movement count estimation. You had some issues along Broadway Road because of some construction, so the modeling wasn't, or the model didn't estimate as intended. So because it's a machine learning algorithm, how much data do you think you would have needed, I guess, to maybe revise that estimation, to better reflect that construction time? Or like, how much data would you historically need to give a better estimation, I guess, is the question.
Yeah, Dr. Lee, and would you like to answer, or I can answer that?
Yeah, I think it is a good question. So, but we didn't test how much data we need. We used all the data, the ground truth data PAG provided to estimate, to calibrate and validate our model. And to be honest, we don't have a lot of ground truth data. So, but we still get some not bad performance for the. One thing for the Broadway, the construction of Broadway, we found that because Broadway is using 3 lanes, 3 through lanes. Once we input the 3 through lanes in the model, so usually the 3 through lanes indicate the very high volume, through volume, but our model shows the results overestimate the ground truth. Is because due to construction, there are not a lot of vehicles. So that's the one issue. So probably in the future, we can test how much data we need in the model.
Yeah, I can add a little bit, and this is the case, and the samples and the collected and the limited, and as well as just most of just the counts, the turning movement counts data is kind of assumed in the new construction in the around in the area. So that's actually just the issue, and maybe better to just have some just additional just data collection and for those in the construction site to and machine learning and the teaching the machine learning algorithm to just better react. There might be another option, but the mainly just the issue is actually just the data, and we provide it is not just the represent that kind of just condition. And so there are additional just the issue in the rural area, just and the urban area, the 3 lane, just the direction of just the roadways as literally just a different kind of just a result we also observed. So that's the kind of just a small issue, and we also like to kind of address through just the update. Thank you.
Thank you. One last question too is, so you're using this for your counts, for the PAG counts program as well. Are you allowing this also for other agencies to, some of your local agencies to tap into, or has that been useful for them as well, maybe from their planning departments, or is that something to look into in the future?
Yes, and the main just our division using this kind of just the project and the outcomes is hoping to just use for our jurisdictional partners. And this, as I mentioned earlier, just the part of the output, and we are now just providing that just attending movement counts and observed, and there's just my vision, and we now just uploaded to the MS2 format, and those and the updates will be and shared through just the PAC, the subcommittee, and transportation safety, and just the system.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I'm not seeing any other hands raised at this time. Doctors, I appreciate your presentation, and we will go ahead and move on to the next item. Does any member of the ITS committee have topics or issues of interest that you would like to have considered for discussion at a future meeting? If so, please indicate so by raising your hand. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to item number 9, comments from the ITS committee members. I will start with Susan, and I'd like members to share information related to ongoing ITS related project activities in their jurisdictions. So Susan.
Hey, thanks, Steve. We've got a number of items I think got to mention last time with the ITS committee meeting that our request for rolling out some more wrong way thermal cameras on Loop 101. So we're getting underway on that project. The ramp meter efforts through the SMO project, actually all of that equipment has now been purchased, and our maintenance crew is getting ready to install all of that here this next month. So some activities that are happening. Other than that, I don't have anything else. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you. Hugh, you're up next.
Yeah, nothing for Goodyear. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Micah?
Hey, Steve. No updates for Mesa.
Okay, thank you. David Cates?
Nothing to report today from DPS. Thank you.
Thank you. Alyssa Dahl.
No, I'm good, thank you.
Thank you. Alan Galicia.
No update to report from Glendale.
Okay. Albert Garcia.
Nothing from Surprise.
Okay, thank you. Hong Ho.
No update from Scottsdale. Thank you.
Okay. Bruce.
Just a quick update of where we are with our two major fiber projects. Indian School is about 75% through its time, 30% complete, but that should pick up quickly. For our partner in Glendale, they're starting to proceed in the next couple of weeks going up to tie into Glendale. And then the other project was the baseline fiber project, and I don't know that they've announced the who yet, but the bids were received and they were all over the place from bids from well below the engineer's estimate to 2 or 3 times higher. But it appears that the apparent low bid will come in at about or just under the engineer's estimate. So in a positive sense that, you know, even with the acquisition issues of fiber, it looks like the projects are still coming in under at the engineer estimate. That's it for Phoenix.
Okay, thank you, Bruce. David.
Nothing to report for Tempe. Thank you.
Okay. For Peoria, we had 3 new signals turn on in the last couple of weeks here. They're all up in the north portion of the city. One of them includes a new TI at Loop 303 and Jomax. And then there's a connection road that goes over from along Jomax to Vistancia. So actually I said 3 new signals. There's 2 new signals, but we have 3 new CTVs with that project. More to come from us in the near future. With that, Eduardo. Okay, he may have had to step away. Marshall.
Yeah, so we've started our ATSPM project with CS Construction and Econolite, and we're currently in the detection upgrade part of the project and the controller upgrade part of the project, and we're getting about 2 intersections a day on that. So it's a lot of controller programming going from ASC3 to the Cobalt EOS. So that was a little bit more work than people were expecting, but we're getting through it and learning. So I guess everybody will be able to take advantage of what we've learned and Econolite has learned from this process. But it's looking pretty successful, and we're starting, or MAG is starting, the Ironwood Pinal County partnered PSOP on Ironwood. We're doing everything in Queen Creek in preparation of State Route 24 opening, so tons of CIP projects going on. And we're expanding our signal system about 10% a year, so that's been going on consistently for 4 or 5 years now. So we're moving ahead. That's all.
Great, thank you, Marshall. Mike, you're up next.
Sorry, just because it's related to this committee, I'll give you just a quick update on the 3 projects we had submitted on, out of the last pile of money. Those have all been completed with the exception of 1 intersection, which were detection upgrades. And we had some work that we needed to do internally in order to make that happen, but that should be happening anytime. So that was well spent, and I'm happy, that that's done. But anyways, yeah, there's a lot going on here, kind of what Marshall described, only farther south for us. But anyways, that's it.
Thank you, Mike. Christopher.
Yes, this is Chris representing Pinal County. We've got 15 new signals that we're working on in various stages. About 8 of them are in design. Another 6 are planned for next fiscal year for design, and some are development funded as well. So we got a lot of signals coming in the future. It's all in the Santon area. So
Lots of growth. Thank you for that update. Tessa.
Nothing to report from El Mirage.
Okay, John Willett.
Just an FYI, if you're taking I-10 to go west anytime soon, plan on a longer time frame to get through Buckeye because the I-10 widening project. And if you used to stop at Miller to get gas before making the final push into California, you can't do that for the next 6 weeks. That ramp is closed. And so because of all that fun stuff, traffic's reallocating to the city streets. And so we're trying to tweak timing as we can. So just want to give you that construction update. So just an FYI. Other than that, nothing more. Thank you.
Thank you, John. April.
Hello. So on the project forefront, the adaptive project on Bell Road Phase 2 and then all of Dunlop, we went through the system acceptance phase of the project last week, so we're wrapping that up. The project isn't finalized, but we have plans to accept the system, so that's all good. On the RADS forefront, we are getting ready to kick off our RADS recore, our core re-architecture project, and moving into a hybrid cloud infrastructure. So that one is in the initial stages, so more to come on that one. Just on an organizational side, as far as McDOT-ITS, we all know that Faisal's last day was a couple weeks ago, and we do have plans to reorg a little bit on the ITS side, providing growth for our, I guess, ITS work that we do and TSMO work that we do. So I think you guys will start seeing some job postings on the upper management side, more focused on technology and operations as it relates to ITS. So anyone have any questions when you start seeing those job applications come out, feel free to reach out to myself or anyone at McDOT really. And I think that is it for now.
Thank you, April. Marty.
Nothing today from Valley Metro.
Okay. Thank you all for those updates. The next meeting of the ITS committee will be held at 10 a.m. on Wednesday, March 2nd via virtual conference unless otherwise notified. And with that, we will go ahead and adjourn the meeting.
Thank you, everyone.
Everyone have a great day.
Thanks all.
Bye.
See ya.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good one.